The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation.
Break the business, play is work and work is play. Power into creators, have fun along the way. Break the business, doing what it takes. Celebrate success and learn from the mistakes.
How's it going, everybody? I was trying to do my best Ryan impression, and I'm not entirely sure if that worked out. What is up, everyone? Listening on a Wednesday evening or whenever it is that you are catching this show, welcome to the Break the Business podcast. It is the show where we empower indie creators, talk a little bit of pop culture, and hopefully have a lot of fun along the way. I'm not Ryan Corella, Esquire. DDS. I am, in fact, Elisa Melendez, also known as ElisaRockDoc on the internet, and I will be your host, taking over the Break the Business podcast over from our dear captain, our captain, Ryan Corella, as our favorite lawyer on the internet of entertainment takes on his most important and maybe most demanding client. I'm not sure. It might be tied with a few others, but he has a very important client at home that he's going to be hanging out with for the next few weeks. Congratulations to him on his bundle of joy. All of us here at Break the Business HQ are congratulating him and rooting him on for the next few weeks, and hoping that maybe he can get some sort of a nap. Is that a thing he can do anymore? I don't know. But congratulations, Ryan, on being a dad, and apologies in advance to the listening audience that has to deal with me for the next few weeks. But I'm going to be joined by a few series regulars that you might recognize over the next couple of weeks. I might call Lauren over on a Hail Mary if I'm absolutely floundering. So you will not be alone, and I will thankfully not be alone on this journey throughout the next few weeks. So until then, for those who might not know a little bit about me, I want to get you comfortable with this relationship that we're about to have over these, maybe next month or so. I am a musician. I am known as ElisaRockDoc on the internet. I do have a PhD and the student loans to prove it. Studied sociology, looked at music video games, but I am also a musician and a voice actress and a content creator in my own right, with some ties to the video game industry as well. I've worked in marketing departments as a community manager for video games and stuff, and done some voice acting video games as well. So from this section of the hosting table, you can expect a mix of music news for the next few weeks, some video game related chatter, of course, because I can't help myself, and then hopefully some content creator news you can use, because the whole point of this podcast is to empower y'all that are making art right now, literally right now, as we speak. You are making some form of art right now, and hopefully in these next few weeks we can talk to some folks and talk about some things that are going to help you along your way. And yes, in case you're yelling at your speaker, hey, don't shame me for not creating art right now. I'm not actually creating art right now, but I think I should be creating art right now. Elisa, why are you stressing me out? Hey, if you're thinking about creating art, that's part of the process of making art, okay? Sometimes all you can do is open Photoshop or Microsoft Word or whatever it is, Logic, maybe, and just stare at it for a while in silent, horrific contemplation. And that's part of the process too. I think we need to acknowledge that as creators, that sometimes just staring at a screen in despair is a significant chunk and very important part of the art creation process. So hopefully from one creator to another, we can all vibe together over the next few weeks. And hopefully get some news we can use to kind of help all of us that are currently on the content creation struggle bus. Like this week, okay, I'm not only excited, but I'm incredibly nervous. One, because I'm basically taking over an entire radio station. I've been given the keys to a multi-platform live stream. And so that's just slightly nerve-wracking. But also, I'm talking to a very important person, potentially for even my career as a musician. We are going to have on Andrea Gleason, the CEO of TuneCore. TuneCore is a platform that you can use to distribute your music as an indie artist and get it onto all sorts of platforms, right? So I may not currently be using TuneCore, but that's okay. That's okay. Actually, I'm really excited about it because no one knows what they're doing. That's going to be another theme that pops up a lot over the next few weeks. No one knows what they're doing. I am learning something new every day about how the heck it is that I am supposed to get my music out there. So I'm super excited to chat with Andrea Gleason later on in the show to hopefully get a glimpse at a fun, new, exciting way that I can get music out there so that people can discover it. And hopefully you, musician out there, can make use of this info too. But first, the news. I didn't have time to make it the I don't. Ryan, do we have a he's not here. He's not here. It's okay. It's fine. Breaking news. We're going to talk about some video games for a second because I am not only a video game person, I am also a cat person, and the best of both worlds have dropped in this latest release for PlayStation 5. Good luck having one, getting one, procuring one. But if you have the means and Lady Luck is on your side and you happen to have a PS5 on you, I am hearing that the video game Stray, recently released, is getting solid reviews all across the board from major outlets. Metacritic is solid. The thing about Stray, it is a video game in which you are a single entity with a companion helper, and you're traversing a series of maps in an interesting kind of cyberpunk, dystopian, neon-soaked world with some really cool art and set pieces, and it's settled by a bunch of very interesting looking robot type folk. And you get to traverse this world and explore, like a lot of video games. It sounds very, very similar to a lot of video games, right? I am exploring a post-apocalyptic world that is neon-soaked and probably has a great soundtrack and has robots or androids type folks doing that sort of thing. However, in Stray, you are navigating this territory as an orange tabby cat. Orange tabby cat. You play as a cat. You are the cat. You are the cat. And you are actually just running around this world as a cat. And I think it is one of the coolest things. It almost delivers on the promise that the new movie musical version of Cats maybe attempted to do it with, sort of playing with the idea of scale and constructing these huge set pieces to make the actual human actors seem smaller. Yes, Cats was the last movie I saw in a movie theater before a lot of things happened. Why do you ask? So the things that the Cats movie did with playing with scale and doing these large set pieces so that you can get a sense of kind of feeling as small as a cat, Stray does that because you actually play as a cat. And things are kind of like to scale, and you get to, and not only, okay, it's not even that you play as a cat, it's that you are a cat. You can nuzzle up against people and get pets. You can scratch things, and you can knock things over. These are essentially the, like, you know, Hall of Fame cat mechanics at play here. All the stars are here. We've got knocking stuff over, we've got ripping things up, we've got jumping, we've got curling up and taking a nap, which is like the most adorable animation ever. And it's made even more adorable when you find out that the cat in Stray is actually modeled by one of the developers' cats. It is so essentially, in my show notes, I have, in terms of explaining the new releases that have come out for video games, I have Stray for PS5, play as a cat, no other review necessary. There's that. Another video game that I did want to kind of shout out for folks that may not have access to PS5. So something's a little bit more widely available, especially now that it recently dropped on Xbox Game Pass. Can I spread the good word of Power Wash Simulator for like a second? So especially if you are the kind of person who loves a to-do list, just loves a to-do list, loves to check things off, loves just like the idea of power washing something and cleaning something and like seeing the progress of something being cleaned. If that's extremely satisfying for you, if after you clean something, you too want to hear a very, very satisfying ding as soon as something is sparkling clean, then Power Wash Simulator would also be for you. Recently dropped on Xbox Game Pass, and it has multiplayer, which is the wildest thing. This is a game called Power Wash Simulator, and it is exactly what it says on the tin. I'm telling you. Ryan, you're a new dad. This game might be one of the most like dad core games out there. Power Wash Simulator. You just power wash stuff. You have a power washer, and you can get different attachments and different cleaning supplies. And then they have a career mode and all sorts of different maps. And essentially they drop you in, and you are part of a power wash cleaning service. And you just clean stuff. You clean houses. You clean a skate park. You clean a playground. You know that old nursery rhyme about the old woman who lived in a shoe? You clean the shoe. It is so satisfying. I cannot even describe. It is one of those games that you're like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I'm going to power it up for 2 seconds. I'm just power washing. How immersive can this be? And then you blink, and then it's been 7 hours. And that's all you've done. And maybe you have a light hand cramp because you forget that there is a button that automatically switches your power washer to just stay on instead of... I'm not speaking from any sort of experience at all on that. But the game does have multiplayer, right? So now picture this. You can power wash with a friend or several friends, which is great, except the one big story that ended up happening. It's kind of wild when this happens in video games. My husband and I play video games together. We have 2 TVs, 2 Xboxes side by side. It's a whole thing. The AMA will drop next week. But we're playing Power Wash Simulator. It's incredibly satisfying. Like, just throw a show up there and then just power wash. It's great. But in multiplayer, right when we started playing, the game would crash. He would host, and then I would join his game, and then we would be power washing a playground for a second and switching between nozzles or whatever, and then the game would crash. But it would kick me off, right? It would boot me to desktop. And I would be like, well, that seems odd. And it seemed to be happening with like a regular frequency that we were sort of thinking about, like, well, okay, maybe it's maybe it's our internet. Maybe it's 'cause sometimes, our two consoles don't talk to each other super great for some reason. That happens. Maybe it's the fact that it's the first week of release and, it's cross play and it's a lot of different people being able to play with each other now that hadn't been able to before. First week of launch kinks, every game gets it. Not necessarily so. The bug that I was experiencing, the crashes that I was experiencing were related to a very specific bug that was very widespread enough to get its own article in video game online magazine Kotaku, talking about this bug that I was experiencing and a lot of other people were experiencing was due to folks looking up into the sun during multiplayer. So if you were not the host, but the person hanging out in the other person's game, and you looked at either the sun or anything that glared just because of a weird way that the game kind of like treated lens flares, just looking into a lens flare would crash you to desktop. And so their solution, they're working on a patch. I don't know if the patch is out. I think we tried playing a couple of days ago and it didn't necessarily work out so well. So who knows if the patch is out yet. But until then, the recommendation from the development team was don't look at the sun. If you're gonna play, you can power wash all you like, just look down. Just eyes on your work the whole time. Do not look at the sun. I mean, that's just generally good advice, right? But don't look at the sun in Power Wash Simulator if you don't want to crash for now until the patch is released. But this idea that like when you look at the sun, the way that the lens flares are interacting with the game, and it only happens on my particular instance of the game. Video games are hard. I just want to put it out there. The first line of the Kotaku article is, video games are hard. Video games are beautiful, magical things that are held together with duct tape and spit. And I will always say this. You want to talk about very complex, complicated, interactive art that people are trying to make interesting, fun, evocative experiences on technology within the limits of console tech, platform tech, whatever. So trying to make it so that multiple people can clean a putt-putt golf course together. Shouts to the team behind Power Wash Simulator. Shouts to anybody who has to deal with anything like this during their launch week. You have my sympathies. Unfortunately, you also have our frustrations, because there is nothing that I want more to do than to finish this dang bungalow that has been the bane of my existence. Because there's this one railing that is just so hard to clean. I'm trying to get some help. I just can't look into the sun. We are Icaruses, all of us. And we stare at the sun. And that's our own hubris, honestly. That's hubris at work. So there you go. Games are hard. Have compassion. If you're having a hard time with any game that you're playing out there, just things are rough. And you can test all you want. You can have the most staffed and well-fed and actually well-paid QA team in the world. I'll believe it when I see it. I would love to see it someday. But there is no replacing, millions of people potentially having access to this thing and trying to essentially break it all at once en masse. So shouts to the Power Wash Simulator team. You have given us hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of excitement. We just have to get some sunglasses for our power washing suit. So I wanted to turn my attention now, actually, before we hit the commercial break. I wanted to talk really quickly about a tool. I wanted to give you a little bit of a nugget, right? So we had a couple of games for you to play. I introduced myself, but now I wanted to turn my attention really, really quick to a tool, which just got announced for Twitch. Now, hey, I just said the word Twitch. If you are not necessarily a video game person or a video game creator, still listen up, because I am one of the kinds of folks who loves to recommend Twitch as a platform to showcase whatever kind of art you are. I follow everyone from people who do play video games professionally for a living, but I also follow sculptors. I recently followed a Japanese woodblock printmaker that streams the process of carving these lovely wood blocks just live on Twitch. There are folks that do journaling on Twitch and all sorts of things, all sorts of creation on Twitch. So do not discount the use of Twitch to show off your personal art. And I'm going to give you another tool that Twitch could also be very useful for. And Twitch just recently announced that they are developing a beta. It's currently in beta now. We'll roll out maybe to more folks later. It is something called Twitch Charity. And this is a fundraising tool that makes it easy for you to use Twitch and use live streaming in order to raise funds for a select group of charities. So typically, if you wanted to do a charity stream, so essentially, like, you wanted to play games for a certain amount of time, maybe do like a cool marathon stream and raise money for XYZ number of charities that is, near and dear to your heart. Usually, in order to do that, the logistics of that would be kind of wild, right? Because you have to give people the information on where to go. You have to be able to track who it is that donated money to the charity, and then be able to sort of add that to a count that you would have displayed live on your stream to see how much money you've raised for the charity. A lot of times you would have to track direct donations to a charity. Someone will send a screenshot of their donation receipt to an email address, and then you get that email, and then you type it manually into a tracker, and then your cute little tracker updates on your stream. That's kind of a pain in the butt. There's also a service called Tiltify that's a little bit more plug and play, where you can kind of sign up there and link your Twitch account and basically create a campaign that kind of runs for you, essentially, to help you raise funds on stream. But now Twitch is doing it right in the box. So this service aims to basically make hosting a charity stream just a couple of clicks away. In fact, they call it going into charity mode, which, hey, the sequel to sicko mode will be charity mode. So my questions are, I didn't see necessarily too much information about this right before the show, but I am very curious. I've done some donation drive streams before. I've done reading donations, which is a very, very, very fun gig. But usually we kind of would go through that process of send the receipt, do the stuff. And the way that Twitch describes it is they're partnering with PayPal Giving, and then a certain amount of processing fees go into it, and then the rest of the funds go directly to the charity. I believe Twitch doesn't even take a cut. But my questions are, how much are those processing fees? Full stop. Which charities are going to be available at launch? And are there any ways of suggesting new charities or other mutual aid funds? And are there any kind of criteria for certain charities to be selected over others? So that's kind of an interesting question. And also, once you do run a donation stream through this process, how long does it take to actually release these funds to the folks that actually need them, right? One of the benefits of doing the kind of duct tape kind of logistical way of doing the direct donation receipt, and tracking that manually, is you get to, that your money went to the charity literally right away, immediately, and it didn't go through any other hoops. It's a little more difficult, but especially in cases where it's something that you're ramping up in the wake of an event, and sort of time is of the essence, and it's sort of a more time sensitive charity stream, I think it's kind of important to know hey, when is the money actually going to get to these folks that might need it? So I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about Twitch charity and seeing what charities are involved as a part of it. And I definitely encourage you folks that are creators of all stripes to encourage using Twitch to show off your process or show off your finalized art. Even play video games or even just show off other parts of yourself with your community that you're building. Highly recommend it. I've been doing it and it's been an absolute treat. So go ahead and do it. And also, if you want to feel like giving back in the process, hey, there's tools out there to do that. All right, folks, I'm going to go take a break. You, not just me, but you should probably consider hydrating because it's been a minute. I know. I could tell. I've been looking at the clock. I know. I see that water bottle. Go ahead, fill it up. Sometimes it helps if you have like a special cup. I have a special cup. So grab your special cup, fill it up with a hydration beverage. That's water to put down the iced coffee. I see you. Also me. We're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, we are going to chat with Andrea Gleason, CEO of TuneCore. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Ryan Corella here. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you're getting a lot out of it. I do what I do because I care about creators like you. A lot. I've dedicated my career to helping creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations move forward. I do it by hosting this program, and I'm also proud to do it in my legal practice. If you're a creative professional looking for solutions-oriented legal services to help you further your goals, I'd love to help. My firm RKPA does contracts, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Visit rkpalaw.com to learn more. That's rkpalaw.com. Ryan A. Corella, PA, Miami, Florida.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
Thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at RyanKAIR, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show.
Hey, and we are back, everybody. Our guest this week is the CEO of TuneCore. That is a global music distribution platform for independent artists. Most recently, TuneCore unveiled its new unlimited release pricing plan. Ooh, yes. That will allow artists to upload as many singles and albums as they want for a single low annual price rather than paying for each individual single or album upload. I'm speaking directly to me. Thank you. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting www.tunecore.com. We are super stoked to welcome Andrea Gleason onto Break the Business. Andrea, hello.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Now, how you doing?
I'm great.
Good. I'm super excited to have you on. I'm a musician, and as soon as Ryan told me, hey, just letting you know, first guest, CEO of TuneCore, I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, distribution platform. Oh, hello.
I love that.
Hello. So, first question for those that are uninitiated, can you tell us a little bit about these services that TuneCore can provide for artists?
Yeah, we are an open platform. So if you're an independent musician, you're not signed to a label, you can actually put music out yourself. And TuneCore is a platform where you can do that. So there's no gatekeeper. And if you have $15 per year, you can actually release an unlimited amount of songs. and get them all out into Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Tencent, into the libraries of social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. And essentially, we get all the music out worldwide, and then we bring all the money together in one central account and pay our users for the music that was listened to. And what really makes us unique is we don't take a percentage. So all of the money that the artists earn, they keep 100% of it. And how we make money is really from that flat fee subscription. And what we really, really pride ourselves on is that we want to think about how are we a solution for independent artists. You're a musician, you have to wear a lot of hats, and you are your own social media manager, you are your own tour booker, you are you're like many times a lot of our artists are writing, producing, mixing, doing their whole release strategy. And so where we really want to make sure that we're spending our time, and this change that we did with Unlimited was a part of this, is that we're really that solution for artists to help them grow. And so it's all about making the music available worldwide and then helping get them paid. We're a global platform. We are available in 16 languages and in 7 currencies, and we really believe in having artists that are literally all over the world, making their music available worldwide to be consumed all over the world. And what makes me so excited is just seeing artists that are sitting in Latin America really building an audience in Europe, and European artists having a following in Asia. And it's really just been so incredible that it's just opened up this availability of music, and the availability for artists to create, not to be put in a box, that they are not like, hey, you are pop, or you are your country. This is what's been so beautiful, is that now that music is consumed digitally, there's a fusion of genres that have come and it has pushed creativity forward. So that's what we're so excited about, is that artists actually have the freedom. We never keep any of the rights, like the artists keep rights to their masters. Really, this is their chance to keep their creative freedom and keep all their money.
Excellent. So bring it back. Bring it back. A little bit of background on you, because I'm super stoked, and I'm so excited. But in terms of origin, I see that before TuneCore, you specialized in digital strategy for the retail industry. I'm proud retail employee from way back when. Love myself some shopping and a good planogram. Shouts to anybody who knows what a planogram is. But what inspired that transition to go from retail into music?
Yeah, I was in retail for 11 years, and I lived through bringing shopping online. So I was the third employee within the department store, Lord & Taylor, which I think has actually subsequently not been doing, right now I think it only has an online business, but the pandemic hurt a lot of stores. Anyway, I was the third employee at Lord & Taylor that was brought into e-commerce, and we literally built the e-commerce business and store, as we called it. It was like its own door. They call it a door. It's so funny. And it was the e-commerce store. Anyway, and we built it literally from zero to over a $300 million business over 7 years for Lord & Taylor. And then also I spent about 2 years running the Hudson Bay business in Canada. And so I was going, if you go from 0 to 300 million in that time frame, you're in a very fast-paced environment, you're innovating, you're building from zero, you're really blazing trails. And so then I came out through the end of that, where there was some reorganization, and I was brought back to run marketing for Lord & Taylor, the team I started in when I had first begun my career. And they wanted me to make everything omni-channel and just make everything more, just bring online and in-store together. And then I cleaned all that up, and then I'm like, okay, now what? So, and no, I just was running at this pace that then I was like, I need something new, and there's something that happens after you've been doing something for 10 years. You start
Mm.
to look around, there's like something about that decade, 10, that number 10. And I knew it was just time to do something different. And I wanted to do something very different. So you've become very open to the universe about what would that be. And I started exploring very unconventional kind of jobs. And again, typically at my level, you're definitely like meeting people, and you get your job through people, right? So you work
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
network. But actually, I was still applying to jobs on LinkedIn, and this job for TuneCore was a job on LinkedIn to run marketing. And so it really resonated with me because in my 20s, I used to love the indie scene in New York City. I would go to battle the bands in CBGBs, and
Ooh.
I loved seeing like artists on the subway tracks, like playing their guitar, and they'd give me their flyer, or they'd like, sell their $5 CDs. And I just like always loved that scene.
Oh.
And so when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is like digital and it's music. I'm all about this. And so I applied, and I came in and interviewed, and then I got the role. And it's been such an amazing 6.5-year journey, because what I just love so much about what we do is that we really help artists be kind of like their own small business, and and enable them to be able to do that. And so it's been very exciting, and I've just loved it. I feel like I'm an eternal student. I'm constantly learning as much as I've been in this space for 6.5 years, but it's really changing a lot. There's been a lot of changes over that period.
Speaking of, when you said what, it's 6.5 years, that's 2015, and like I'm trying to think back on all of the things that we have to do now in terms of like being indie artists that were just not even a thing in 2015. So can you talk about specifically how companies like yours have had to kind of make that shift as well?
Yeah, it was just very. I remember my first day at TuneCore, and I found that not just TuneCore but other companies in our space were really, as much as we were a digital company, they were behind on digital best practices. I remember I got this email that looked like it belonged in the 90s to review and approve, and I kept it. I wish I should have had it here to show it to
Oh.
you. um and it just was like breaking every best practice you should ever do. And it's like just the music industry was still kind of behind in digital best practice, me coming from retail where we were just like went through this crazy like transformation. And so that was one thing. The second thing I'll say is downloads were still driving more revenue than
Mm,
streaming at the time.
right.
And I would say that I think the biggest change that I've seen is that for independent artists, there was a feeling that if you were independent, it was like you were inferior to the artists that were signed.
Mm.
And I have especially seen over the last couple of years where now there is a pride to being independent. Like I am fucking independent, and there's a pride with that. And you see it in the numbers too. The media puts out a very good study where they track the different segments of the music industry on independent labels like the majors, and what percentage of the revenue it represents. And in 2015, independent artists releasing music themselves represented 1.7% of the market, and this last year it was 5.3%. So really exponential growth. It's still the smallest
Mhm.
segment, but it's also been the fastest growing. And right now, like I am so proud. Like we have two artists that are actually charting on the top radio charts that are TuneCore artists. One of which she ended up signing with a major label, Lauren Spencer Smith. She had this crazy this amazing single that she teased out ahead of the holidays. It was like this amazing ballad, put it out like the first Friday of the new year, and it went straight to the charts.
Oh.
And it, literally she's sitting next to Adele, on the UK charts. It was like bananas, and of course everybody like wanted to sign her. And I see this, for our artists, like every artist's journey is different. Obviously, like we're a tech platform. You have to do everything yourself. And then there's going to be a point where you need more support to help you get to the next level. And that's a very personal decision where artists make very different kind of paths for themselves of how they go to get to that next level. The other artist, similar artist, Charlotte Sands, she went viral with a song called Dress. It's about Harry Styles wearing a dress on the cover of Vogue.
Ah.
And literally, she put it up on TikTok as a demo, literally just she's about to go into Thanksgiving dinner with her family, and her manager was like, you need to do like 3 TikToks a week. You've just got to do that. And she's like, fine. And so she did this thing, and she came out at Thanksgiving and it had gone bananas, and she quickly moved to release it. And it essentially made like, I don't know how many playlists, was the cover of Fresh Prince on Spotify. I mean, bananas. And now she's also charting. So it's so exciting for me to see these artists that literally the music is being unearthed because it's good. You know, it's like, you know, I think the other major difference that's been enabling this is that now artists have access to connect with fans directly. So, you know, platforms like TuneCore, we've been around for 16 years now. So you've been able to release your music, but now that access to the fans is like completely available for artists to have themselves. And I think what's really interesting with platforms like TikTok is how that works is that it will show a piece of content to a certain like subset of users. If based off a bunch of little indicators, if it's like resonating with those viewers, it will push it to more viewers,
right?
More viewers and more viewers. And this is how things go viral. So if the song is good, it literally can shoot to the top.
Yeah,
and,
like it'll find its people.
It finds its people. And what's really exciting is, you know, artists, especially when they're independent, they're sitting there putting music out, and they have this catalog that maybe isn't like being viewed initially. And then they're doing their social media. But when those moments happen, guess what? Those potential new fans are going to go check all that out.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, am I into this? What's happening on Instagram? Am I into what is happening with the rest of the songs that you write? And that's been the difference for like those viral hits, because we've seen some of these artists like go viral, but they just have like a one-hit wonder essentially.
Yeah.
It's like, but what I've seen just in the artists that have had more of this staying power, it's because they are those true artists that have that, they have it, you know, and then it just needs to get viewed. It needs the opportunity, and then the fans are so excited to like unearth it. It's like they found this like hidden treasure, and that's a big change too. Is like listeners want to not just be told what to listen to. I think it's interesting. SiriusXM has a station that's like songs on TikTok, just to run it full circle, you know. So I mean, just a tremendous amount of changes.
Yeah, it's been wild. And also, you know, kind of to that point of having that easy access and being able to produce quickly, and almost the need potentially to kind of serve these algorithms with lots of different releases. Boy, it sure sounds good to be able to have an unlimited release model. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you some time to talk about that, because I wanted to make sure I heard the price correctly. So could you tell us a little bit about specifically this unlimited releasing model?
Yeah, you know, so let me tell you a little background of why we did it, because I think it then informs what we did. You know, when we were looking at, well, let me back up. You know, I'm about a year into my role as CEO, and I'm all about making sure that what we do has purpose. You know, I think that what TuneCore was founded on, you know, TuneCore was the very, very first platform that introduced a flat fee distribution model where an artist didn't have a percentage taken. So we were the first ones to kind of introduce that. And, you know, so we're all about leaning in about like what is going to help an artist grow. And what we saw is that artists that were successful were releasing all the time. You know, gone are the days where physical space on a shelf or manufacturing constraints really drive what the release strategy needs to be. Today, music is consumed digitally. And in fact, the algorithms at Spotify, at Apple, in social media reward when you are creating constantly. and are consistent about it. And if you think about it, it makes sense because you're creating another potential opportunity to engage with an existing or a new fan. And so releasing more regularly all the time gives you opportunity to create that. And, so like what we've seen artists do is like, hey, they'll do like single, and then wrap it up in an EP with a bonus track, single, wrap it up with an EP with a bonus track, and then do an album and do a couple extra tracks. That's your year, essentially. And what you do with all of that is you animate it on social media. You tease it out on TikTok and be like, hey, should I release this next? And then try to see what that engagement does. If you can really tease out your pre-save campaign. You can say, hey, pre-save this release and kind of make your fans a part of it. Then you release it, you do all of that whole song and dance, and the music video comes out, you tease that. Then you say, hey, I hit this milestone. I now have a million streams, and you make the fans a part of it. And you can stretch. It's not just like the constant releasing, but you create these moments to engage with your fans about these releases, and you have something else to give them that's new and to talk about. And so that's what we were seeing, is that this is how successful artists are doing it. And what we saw is that our pay-per-release model was having artists have to be like, should I do this one or this one? And they were overthinking it, and they tend to overthink anyway.
No.
When we survey our users, I'm all about listening and getting the feedback, because that's how we learn what to actually give artists what they need and want. And when we ask them for those that create an account but weren't releasing yet, like, why are you not releasing? The number one reason is because they didn't feel like it was ready. So already there's this tendency that you're like overthinking it. And we really wanted to remove the shackles, like remove another barrier where you're already getting in your own way, because it's all about testing. It's all about experimentation. And that is how you're going to stretch yourself as an artist, but it's also how the thing you might think is not ready, like Charlotte Sands with her song Dress that just put her demo and everyone's like, yes, please, right now. Then that's the song. She might have overworked that, but it was good to go, and so we really wanted to remove that barrier. So that's like really the why. And then what did we put out was essentially there's 4 plans. We start with one plan that is it's free, actually. So you again, going back to this artist being in their heads and experimenting, that they should be experimenting, is you can actually, before you put your music out into like the mainstream platforms, you can actually put them out and get them into the libraries of social media as a pre-step to distribution. So one, to do this teasing campaign, if you want to do that, and you can start monetizing that right away. So, when you post on your own channel with your song, kind of like Charlotte did, you're actually not making money from that. When you have it in the libraries, and then you use that song from the libraries in your video, you are making money from that. And if you have this viral moment, then other creators are immediately able to use that song, and it amplifies the success. So that's available for no upfront cost. We just take a commission, like a 20% commission on that, but you don't have to put any money out up front. Right. So if you have success, then we'll participate, kind of a thing. And then if you want to push it out to all of the stores, we have 3 plans, and we really try to be very, very thoughtful about artists that are at different levels have different needs. Yeah. So when you're first starting out, you are more price sensitive. We wanted to make it very affordable, so it's only $15 a year. And then
sorry, so 15?
15.
Okay, just checking.
$15 a year. Yeah. It's very affordable. And essentially that gets you into over 150 stores worldwide, and you collect 100% of the revenue from the platforms, and you keep it all. And with this feature, you can schedule your release, so you have full control of your release date. You can get all of those amazing things like you can connect to Spotify for artists and get that verification check mark to make you look like you're really official. Same thing with Apple and then also YouTube with the official artist channel. So you get access into those platforms immediately with that first entry level price. And then as you move up, you may need slightly more sophisticated tools. So in the middle plan, the breakout artist, you are it's $30 a year, and essentially a couple of things. There's a lot of stuff in there, but I would say like the two like ones that I think are the best is you have this tool that is called Automator. So we constantly are adding new platforms all the time. So for example, earlier this year, we launched a partnership with Snapchat to get your music into Snapchat.
Cool.
So if you released your song, before that store launched, you would then have to go in and add it afterwards, because we always want to give control to our artists of where their music is. We never want to assume. So we have this service called Automator where you can, by selecting that, any future stores it distributes to, you get that. So that's included in the middle plan. Plus, you will get faster responses from customer care in like 48 hours. So that's the middle plan. And then the top plan is the professional plan. And this is really, I would say, if you're doing more sophisticated release strategies. So you want to only release in the US, or you want to have a custom label name, or you have multiple artists that you want to release under for like a label. And so that's essentially like the four plans, and the professional plan is $50 a year, and each additional artist is like $15 a year. So we really try to be very thoughtful that you don't need all of that when you're just starting out, and you can upgrade to the plans as you progress in your career and your needs change. And so that's what we went out with. The feedback has been very positive. We launched our beta in March. And, we were watching it very closely when we went out with it, and we had regular weekly meetings with our customer care team to see what are people writing in. And the biggest thing people were writing was, is this real?
Wow.
I was talking to an artist today. We had actually a mixer in New York for just getting some of our artists together. And one of them told me that just to make sure he read the full terms and conditions to make sure there wasn't a catch. And you know what those are like. So I was like,
yeah. Wow. Somebody who actually read the terms and the conditions, both the terms and conditions. Wow. Okay. I mean, what more feedback can you get when somebody's like, is this real?
Is this real?
Finally. To that point, elephant in the room, TuneCore isn't necessarily the only game in town vis-a-vis distribution services. So for folks who might be mulling it over, like, which do I go with? What should artists be thinking about when choosing one distribution platform over another?
Yeah, I've been now at TuneCore for 6.5 years. I've actually seen platforms come and go during that period, if you can believe it. And I think a couple things you need to look out for is there needs to be a trust level. How reputable is the company? That's one area that we're very strong, because we kind of disrupted the space and are kind of known as like a first mover. How can you get a hold of people? How's the customer care? And that's an area like again, coming from my retail days, customers write, you've got to make sure that you're available. So we have really invested on having very fast, very high quality customer care that is very accessible to artists. You can just send a DM in Instagram, and you actually get connected directly to our customer care team. So really making ourselves very, very accessible, and getting like that very fast, quick service. The other thing that is very, very, very important is that TuneCore has a parent company called Believe. They are actually out of Paris. They are not as well known here in the US because they're really big internationally, and they will come to the US at the right time. Essentially, what's been so beneficial, because they're a very big player, they're being referred to as kind of like the mini major, but artist friendly mini major. I would equate them very similar to like a Orchard AWOL, but they have also services for like major artists as well. Anyway, we go in and negotiate with the stores directly, and we are able to get direct deals. So there's never a middleman. And we really make it a very big priority to help get the best conditions for our artists that they make the most money. So just to give you a little bit of comparison, we just hit earlier this year a milestone of paying out our artists since we started 16 years ago of $2.5 billion. And our closest competitor has just recently hit $1 billion. So, and that comes from, and this competitor has been in business longer than us. So, and other companies don't even like talk about this, because we really have been the strongest and really paving the way for this. So it's really important that it's, you know, you want to make sure you're collecting all your money, that you have somebody that is really advocating to make sure that that at the indie level, you are essentially having a seat at the table that's making sure that you're getting the best rates you possibly can. And the proof is there with the revenue. And then as we look ahead, I think it's all about like picking a company that's going to continue to innovate. I love that you were talking about video gaming earlier. I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in that space with music, not operationalized for indie artists yet. But if you think about it, there's just so much synergy with, you know, like in Roblox, you've got Virch, you know, so you go talk about all of the opportunities to make money from your music in a virtual world where you've got a younger potential like fan, and then they're all about, you know, having all the collectibles, but in a virtual world. I recently went into Roblox and like made my little avatar, and I was like, oh, I need to get like my hairstyle. It's got, because you get all the stuff that's like free, but then you're like, that's not me. I don't want to you know. So,
no, you have to have several costume changes. I feel this entirely, yes.
and why not? And so like Virch for like music, and going and hearing the music, participating in a virtual like, you know, launch party or a virtual concert, you know, this stuff is starting right now, and I'm just like very excited that, you know, we are there, you know, exploring these opportunities, and we want to keep innovating. I think streaming is where artists are making money today, but what about where it will be tomorrow? I think even Twitch is a really great example during the pandemic, you know, because I find that it's all about these communities that are different from each other. Your audience may not be necessarily on Spotify. Your audience might be on Twitch, and you may actually make more money on Twitch than you would make if you know, from your streaming. It's totally different, and you've got to experiment. And so like, I think when artists are picking their platform, is, you know, is the company thinking forward and innovating and really, you know, starting, even though it's not like a huge part of the revenue yet, how are they going to keep progressing and being there first or early, you know, so that the artists get the opportunities in those early stages. So anyway, I could talk more, but that's
I know. I mean, I could talk with you forever, especially about, you know, sort of forward thinking and like what the future of music could be. But we'll talk. But we do have to wrap it up, because at some point they are going to kick me off Sirius XM and replace me with something way cooler. But before we go, you know, one of the great things about this unlimited pricing model is that it kind of helps the overthinker. Not only is perfect the enemy of good, but perfect can also be the enemy of done and out. So this definitely helps that out. But other than that, do you have any last tips before we let you go for those indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
Yeah, you know, experiment. I think like it's all about practice. When I think about what makes an artist grow, it's two things. They've got to have good music. So you got to keep making your music better. It comes with practice. It comes with just doing it, you know, challenging yourself. And then, you know, how are you then gaining fans?
Mhm.
And you've got to go experiment and find your communities. And I talk to artists all the time who are like, I don't know, TikTok's not for me. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what Charlotte Sand said until she
Yep.
like posted her demo and it went bananas. And so just showing up, trying it. Maybe it feels a little awkward, but find your version of what feels right for you. And it's like you gotta just experiment. It's all about experimentation. The other advice I would give, I think, just in general, independent artists definitely have a lot of challenges to wear a lot of hats. But I definitely want to talk about female creators because women are very underrepresented in the music industry. I'm so excited that we are doing this podcast
Yes,
together.
absolutely.
I mean, I think it's very, very important. One thing I'll say for women creators and executives in the music industry is you really need to not overthink it. Especially, I think like men have a
Yep.
tendency to like, out of the 10 boxes, they hit 3 and they go for
Yep.
it.
Uh-huh.
And like
Do it anyway.
women just like want to hit all 10 of the boxes before
Nope.
they try.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
no,
the
just
advice
do it.
I would give women in the industry is, take the shot.
Yes.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So just put yourself out there. So that's a couple things.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. It has been a pleasure. I could talk to you forever, but thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for doing what you do for indie creators. Appreciate
Thank you
you
for having
coming
me.
on. Awesome. All right, folks. That is going to be my time. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. And I am very, very excited to be joining you in future episodes. Let me know. I'm at ElisaRockDoc on all social media. So find me there and let me know what you think and what else you want to hear on the show. But until next week, stay safe, hydrate, and no matter what you do, always be sure to rock on and keep creating, folks. We'll see you next week.